calculate the
2.76. It's 0.76.
left now, if you want to find this one, the left side would be down to.
Do you really think this would be 2.76?
Oh dear. How do you do
Yeah,
that?
what's the
Right now,
second?
Zero. The other zero is
7.6.
I'm not.
Maybe you think small, which is really a smaller.
I don't know what.
There. Here's your zero.
I don't know.
Maximum.
1.8.
How do you write? Oh wait.
You use a pencil?
You know what? That's not what my question was. But thank you for your helpful advice.
You're welcome.
Can you switch your paper over a little bit?
Oh, sorry. Yep.
How do you get this?
Okay.
That was a deal.
Aiden, you're so funny.
So you notice, once I found my maximum, what that told me is that my maximum occurs before this 2. So I need to go up and then hit that maximum, come back down when you're going through the 2. My zeros are at 0.76 and 2.4.
No, how can you was plus and 6?
Mm-hmm.
Oh! You know, you have to keep hitting punches in here. Enter. Enter. Not what?
Back your calculation.
Tim, do you think the ball?
Wait, what's the maximum? 7.62.
Minimum is non-existent.
Price it out at $200. They always all the money for more. In one case, they just don't make.
Alright. Domain.
Negative infinity to plus.
Negative infinity to infinity, always. Always. Range, I have a maximum. I have a maximum, so my lower bound would be negative infinity. My upper bound would be the 7.6 with a bracket.
Yes.
Okay, remember with interval notation, it needs to be lower bound followed by upper bound. Okay, let's see if this does what I want it to. Okay, we'll do one more of these. Okay, let's do number 3. Or any questions with this yet?
Wait. So when you find the zero, because I mean I got the second one, but when you do, you have to do one of them on here, so on the first one, and then okay, because I did that wrong one. I got one of them. That's because I did one of them.
Alright, number 3. You're going to see something a little bit different with this.
That's a weird.
Okay.
Wait, so does that have to be?
Number 3. Hang on. What's this? Have 0. Have a 0. Too much work.
You could do it on paper.
Yeah. You can do all the hand calculating on paper.
No, thank you.
Oh, but we have to know what the graphics
It's a weird one.
Wait, mine doesn't look the same.
The double weird.
Mine does not look exactly the same.
Does everyone have the picture of the graph?
Yeah, you're a little bit.
Is it even
3x equals minus 4x cubed minus 2x squared. Plus x minus 4. Yes, minus x.
What?
No, all I did was just check your equation.
So these have all been even functions.
Okay, what do you notice when you start looking at the minimum of this function?
About 1 minimum.
2 minutes is out.
Well, that's just 1 minimum.
Okay.
There is only 1 minimum.
Now, there are two different ways to refer to this. Here we go. Okay, is that a minimum?
Technically, yes.
Whoa.
Oh, what?
Yes, it does.
No, it's not the minimum.
How is?
Is this a minimum?
Yes.
Does it have a value there?
Yes.
Okay.
It's got the center of the valley.
So when you have these dips here and you have these these valleys, they are referred to as a minimum, but they're called a relative minimum. Okay? I did. So what I did here is if I just zoom in on this part of the W, it looks like I do have a minimum. So in relationship to what's around it, it's a minimum. Okay? Unfortunately, a lot of us, when we're with other people, we're always comparing ourselves to them. You may see, am I a minimum compared to you, or am I maximum compared to you? Okay? So, that's not necessarily always a good thing, but in relationship to what's around you, how are you comparing? And that's what a relative minimum would be called. Now, we see later on, it goes lower, right? So that's the absolute minimum. So that's when you compare yourself to the entire school, and you're like, okay, I'm really down there. Okay, so those two terminologies are going to be important. A relative minimum or maximum is one that occurs in a specific location, but is not the absolute minimum or maximum.
You can write that down.
Okay.
Both down.
An absolute maximum or minimum would be what it is overall. So when they ask you to list any minimums or maximums, you have to include both of those types, both of those varieties.
Do you write relative minimum?
So you'd write relative minimum and absolute minimum. Okay, you will have to find both of them.
What if there's more than 2?
There's going to be one absolute, and then there's multiple relatives.
One of them?
No, you list them all. So if you'd have a graph that goes like that,
Whoa, what the heck?
you got lots of relative minimums, you have one max overall absolute minimum.
That's a
That'd be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a 10th degree polynomial right there.
Oh, my. Okay, that's a lot of numbers.
Okay.
Especially doing what we did with the other thing with the long division, that'd be awful.
Here we go.
It's not actual hair, though.
What's that, Jevin?
No,
Oh, wait, no.
So, like, cotton prep? No.
Okay, so now if you look at the points you get from your table, you notice they're not very helpful. -1, 0. 0, -4. 1, -6. So finding your intercepts, finding your minimums, will help complete the picture of this graph before you actually graph it.
You skipped 2. You had 1, 3.
I did. Make sure you write down all your numbers.
That is weird.
Zeros.
What in the world?
So, one of the zeros is from your table.
I think your silence, your gasp was a fascination. Mine was a like, why are they all doing this? So funny.
Okay. So you have a relative minimum. You can use REL for relative minimum.
Relative.
You find it the same way. You just have to restrict your left bound and right bound to that minimum that's right there. We go. Negative 0.39 and negative 4.39.
Oh, sweet, I did it right.
So then we have an absolute minimum at the other location.
I would take N instead of N. Same, I do that all the time. And it really frustrates.
Oops.
Oh, I also was struggling to write a D. I wanted to make it R. Okay, now I need calculating the minimum. Good together over here.
Oh, sorry.
Not plus. Don't press the plus button. You'll be doing that about 1,000 times.
8.
Good thing your graph point to each other. Like a circle.
Yeah, how do you weirdly swoop it and whatnot?
So I need to come
Oh,
down
Oh. Oh.
with that one. Whoa!
How are you so good at mine are like curving holes. Funny.
Try not to let these top lines veer too far to the right or left, because remember at 3, I need to be 116. And at negative 2, I believe it was at 66. So don't start clear over here at negative 5. X equals negative 5 coming down. You should be very tall, very skinny, unless you're changing the scale. Domain stays the same. We'll see at a minimum. Use your absolute minimum, the y values, to figure that one.
Oh, so you have to not use your...
Let's practice. Okay. Now there are some parts on the back half of this assignment that you might have a few questions on. You're going to work on this tomorrow as well. Wednesday we'll have a little review assignment. I think it's the mid-chapter quiz, some questions from there that you'll work on Wednesday. And then Thursday you'll have a quiz over this first half.
Whoa. Yeah, I have to use my brain.
We'll see.
I mean, either way, you have to use your brain.
What have we needed notes for so far?
Well, after the spatial, I'm working
Just for a friendly reminder.
behavior notation. Yeah.